Going down this weekend, we have UFC Shanghai, where Zhang Mingyang, one of the scariest guys on the rise in the UFC right now, gets his first main event against Johnny Walker. And in this video, I will be giving you my full card breakdown along with a pick for every fight on the card, man. In this main event, let's not mess around. Let's not kid around. Let's not play stupid. This is a very strategic matchup here by the UFC. They said, who's the chinniest guy we got in the light heavyweight division? A guy that's got even a little bit of name value in Johnny Walker. Yeah, let's feed him to Zhang Mingyang, this absolute terminator of a guy on the rise in the light heavyweight division who's got the complete skill set, crazy power in his hands, good speed on the feet. This is a nightmare for Johnny Walker, an absolute nightmare for Johnny Walker. He is a sacrificial lamb being thrown in there to be made a highlight against Zhang Mingyang. That's what the main event is, man. I mean, it is a complete disaster for Johnny Walker, but the fight that really has me the most intrigued on this card has got to be the co-main event, man. Brian Ortega versus Aljamain Sterling. I mean, I know that this is a fight that Aljo was excited about. This is a fight that he wanted since coming up to featherweight, to where stylistically, this is one of the more intriguing fights of the year, in my opinion. Listen, it's going to be a 5-round co-main event. I feel like there's a lot at stake in this fight. And look, stylistically, I mean, Brian Ortega, he's got some of the best jiu-jitsu in MMA, period, right? His stand-up has came a long way. His wrestling has came a long way. But he's dealing with a guy right now at featherweight in Aljo who we know he's one of the best bantamweights of all time. Outstanding wrestling, good submission skills, awkward but effective striking on the feet, to where I'm excited to see how this fight plays out. Does it stay on the feet? Do we get these crazy grappling exchanges? I'm excited to see how this one plays out. And then Sergei Pavlovich, the return of the fridge man. Sergei Pavlovich out there pumping the iron, hitting the pads, shadow boxing like a madman. Sergei Pavlovich is a scary-ass dude in the heavyweight division. One of the most devastating power punchers in the weight class. He's got a tough challenge ahead of him. A guy that's got a lot of hype behind him right now in Waldo Cortes Acosta, who is clearly not just a blob in the heavyweight division. This is a guy that is showing incredible evolution in his skill set, brick wall takedown defense, and not only that, he is adding different things to his game, adding some nice leg kicks. We've seen Pavlovich struggle with leg kicks in the past a little bit. Doesn't bother to check him at all, right? Just wants to go in there and box with guys. Waldo's got some good hands, good speed. Excited to see how this one plays out, man. But overall, pretty decent card, some fun matchups on this thing. But let's get into the breakdowns and predictions, starting right away with Uran Satybaldiev versus Diyar. I'm going to go Uran Satybaldiev by decision. Listen, I think that this fight is pretty evenly matched here. Both guys, kind of dropped their last one, where both dudes kind of had a little bit of hype coming into the UFC. And look, Diyar was fighting over in UAE Warriors, fought on Eagle FC. He's got a well-rounded skill set, solid ground and pound, looks to take guys down. And if he can get, into those top positions, he will rain down some nasty ground and pound. But while he has the power, I just don't know that he's going to be able to keep up with the volume of Uran, man. And Uran fought in his last fight against Martin Buday up at heavyweight, right? And I know Martin Buday kind of blobbing his way around. I mean, he was riding a nice win streak in the UFC. The UFC should have re-signed Martin Buday, a division that is really struggling to have guys. I mean, I know Martin's not the most exciting guy, but he was still pretty decent, right? So if you're going out there against a heavy guy who's pretty well-rounded in Martin Buday, now you're coming down to light heavyweight, to where it's going to be interesting to see how that kind of transfers here. I think Uran gets back on track, man. I like his volume, good straight shots down the middle, has a very good ground game as well, to where I feel like it cancels out. Maybe we get some crazy grappling exchanges, but I don't think so. I think that Diyar is going to come in. We got, submitted by Brenson Hubbard in his debut. It was a bad performance. Got, just kind of embarrassed there, to where I feel like he's going to come out with a chip on his shoulder, look to push the pace, move forward. He's got that big old high kick that he likes to throw. He's got some power. I just feel like he gets a little too reckless, and I feel like that Uran can make him pay with good, straight, clean shots down the middle. I think he'll put the volume on him. He's got a 2-inch height advantage. He's got a crazy reach. I feel like Uran goes out there, outstrikes him, and wins a decision in this matchup. You can't sleep on Diyar, man. Guy's got some power, so if he can land that shot, maybe he can get a KO. But I think Uran fights smart, sticks and moves from the outside, and puts the points on the board to outscore him and win a decision. Give me Uran Satybaldiev by decision. Next, we got Xiao versus Su Young Yu. I'm going to go Yu here by decision. Listen, I know a lot of people are really high on this guy, right? They're kind of looking at him as the next big grappling phenom kind of in this weight class. He can really push a pace. He's got good jiu-jitsu skills, really good wrestling, and the pace that he brings, I feel like a lot of guys are going to struggle with. And listen, I know, Long, he's shown that he's got some pretty good striking, right? He could go out there against Quang Li, knock you out, find that shot. And I feel like he's going to have to really utilize a lot of footwork in this fight because there's no question what Yu's going to do. He makes no bones about it. He's going to come after you, look to push you up against the fence, take you down, grind you out, and he's very capable of doing that against a guy like Long. And look, I know Long maybe has some underrated grappling. If he can scramble, create space, get back to the feet, he has the advantage there. But I just don't know that he has what it takes to stop what Yu is bringing to the table. I think that the pace, I think that the versatility in terms of the grappling that Yu brings to the table, I just think it's going to be too much for Long in this fight. I think Yu wins a decision here. But if Long can keep it on the feet, he definitely has the power and the ability to find that shot. But I don't think he's going to be on the feet for very long. Give me Su Yung to get this one done by decision. I just think his grappling is a step ahead here. Next, we have Yizha versus Westin Wilson. I'm going to go Yizha by second round finish. I can see him pulling off a submission. He's got quite a few submissions throughout his career, and he's also got some pretty solid ground and pound because here's the deal, man. Westin Wilson, out of his last 5 fights, 2 of the losses, I mean, they're not super bad, right? I mean, one of them was to Jean Silva, so it's not like he's in there against scrubs or anything. But Yizha, like, he's not a world beater, but he's got a pretty well-rounded skill set, man, right? He can strike with you. He's got decent power, good versatility on the feet. But I think he's just going to come out here, take Westin Wilson down and beat his ass up on the ground. Because here's the problem with Westin. Trains with Wonderboy Thompson. You see him kind of moving in that karate stance. He's got this long, wiry frame at 6'1". But it just ain't going to matter in this fight, man. I think Yizha closes the distance, gets a hold of him, takes him down, because that's what we've seen with Westin. Yeah, he's kind of, tricky in the beginning with that range, but if you take him down, I mean, he just kind of accepts being on bottom, and even if he does try to scramble, I just feel like Yizha's just going to be a step ahead. I think he's going to control him, beat him up with some ground and pound to where he could get that TKO stoppage, or he softens him up enough to slide in a choke and get Westin Wilson out of there. But I feel like, Westin could somehow pull this thing off, right? We've seen him go in there like against, in his last fight against Seka, and he pulled that thing off. But I just feel like Yizha is going to come in with a good game plan, move forward, take his ass down, and not mess around here and go out there and get a win over a guy in Westin Wilson who I just don't think is that good. So give me Yizha by second round stoppage. I think that he gets some good ground and pound in there and gets him out of there. Next, we got Michel Pereira versus Kyle Daukaus. Kyle Daukaus, familiar face, right? Guy that was in the UFC for a while, lost to Eric Anders, and then he got let go, or the UFC didn't re-sign him, whatever it was, right? And then he went back to the regional scene and has racked up quite a few wins in a row. Now he's stepping in on a short notice opportunity here where it was supposed to be Marco Tulio. I was super excited for this fight. Pereira versus Tulio. I mean, one of the more devastating prospects on the rise right now in the division, and Tulio has got crazy power. But now we got Daukaus stepping in. A guy that's got, pretty solid ground skills, good submission game. He's going to need it in this fight because on the feet, I mean, Michel Pereira is a handful for anybody in this weight class. Super explosive, super dynamic, and really the biggest weakness of Michel Pereira is his gas tank, right? And if this dude had a crazy gas tank, I mean, he would be one of the hardest guys to beat in the division. But we've seen him slow down. But again, off his last performance, I mean, it took a while for Fluffy Hernandez to get him out of there. And we know how good Fluffy is, right? So Michel Pereira, I think he keeps his fight on the feet. I think he knocks out Kyle Daukaus in the first round, man. Like, I know Daukaus has maybe a little bit of an advantage on the ground, you could say, but I don't even think so. We've seen Michel Pereira go out there and submit guys. He's super powerful, super explosive, and how dangerous he is early on. I just don't know that Kyle Daukaus is going to be able to survive the storm that Michel Pereira is going to bring. And given that it's on short notice, even though I think Daukaus was preparing for a fight already, I just don't like this matchup for him, man. I just don't like this matchup. If you're not beating Eric Anders, you're not beating those guys, I just feel like you're getting, just completely destroyed by a dangerous guy like Michel Pereira with crazy power and everything he does. Give me Michel Pereira by first round knockout. I feel like this is a huge step up here for Daukaus. I just think he's going to get destroyed. Next, we got Rongzhu versus Austin Hubbard. I'm going to go Rongzhu by decision here. Listen, I like the last performance from Rongzhu. Went out there against a hyped up guy in Cody Steele who has good wrestling, decent striking, But I like what we saw from Rongzhu, right? A guy that went out there, puts the jab in your face, will bang leg kicks from the outside, and he's got good footwork, right? Speedy on the feet. I feel like that is where he holds the advantage here. On the feet, man. The footwork, the speed. I feel like he's just going to be dancing around Austin Hubbard, frustrating him all night long. Because, look, we know Austin Hubbard was on tough, yada, yada, yada. He's not that good, man. Let's be real. Austin Hubbard is not that good. Maybe he's the more well-rounded fighter here. But, I mean, he's going to have to get this fight to the floor because I think on the feet, Rongzhu's way faster. He's got more versatility, and I think that the speed is going to be very much on display to where he is just going to be stinging Austin Hubbard, left and right, and then Hubbard's going to get frustrated. Maybe he gets caught with a shot and gets dropped, but I'm going to say that he toughs it out because we've seen that Austin Hubbard is kind of a dog, but I think Rongzhu's speed, his footwork, and just what he brings to the table on the feet, I just feel like it's a step ahead of Austin Hubbard, man. And I could see where, Hubbard goes in there, kind of takes him down, is able to control him and win some minutes, but I just don't know that that's enough, man. We saw how good Rongzhu is kind of evolving his skill set. I just feel like the speed and the footwork is what this comes down to for me. I think he stings Austin Hubbard from the outside and outscores him and wins a decision. Give me Rongzhu in this one. Next, we got Loner Kavanagh versus Charles Johnson. Interesting fight here. Very interesting fight here because Loner Kavanagh, he's a guy in the flyweight division who I've been very high on, right? Got that nasty KO on the Contender Series, came into the UFC, has rattled off 2 wins, coming off the nice win over Felipe dos Santos, in which was a crazy high-paced fight. Really enjoyed that fight. And Kavanagh's undefeated, right? Good hands, solid ground game, showed that in his last fight against dos Santos. I just feel like this is too much too soon, man. And I know that the flyweight division, it's kind of light, right? Once you start to get towards the top, then we start to kind of see some things. But towards the back end, it tends to be a little bit lighter. And given that Pantoja's taken out so many guys, we see the flyweight division just kind of speed along. The UFC is really trying to build up some of these guys, and I feel like this is just too much too soon, man. As high as I am on Kavanagh, I think Charles Johnson outscores him and wins a decision, man. Like Charles Johnson, he's been in there with some really good fighters, man. And we know that KO victory over Joshua Van, look how good that's aged. Joshua Van's about to probably be fighting Pantoja for the title, and he was able to KO him. Charles Johnson gets better as the fight plays out, man. He's 5'9" in the weight class, bigger guy at flyweight, and I've always said this. I feel like Charles Johnson's one of the more underrated fighters in the UFC period, not just the flyweight division. And I think he's like, 6-5 or something in the UFC. One of the best fighters with that kind of record in the organization. Very dynamic on the feet, elusive striking, can switch stances, good footwork, good timing, good distance management. And given the experience that he has, I feel like he's going to weaponize that in this fight, man. I feel like he is. Like, I know that Kavanagh maybe is the more complete fighter, but I just think that this is too much too soon for him. I really do. I really do. He's a young guy. Right, he's got good power. Maybe he could catch Charles with a shot. I just don't think it's likely. I think Charles Johnson's footwork is going to frustrate him. I think he's going to stop the takedowns, and I think that fighting from range, that's where Charles is going to live in this fight, man. He's going to frustrate Loner. He's going to stuff the takedowns, stick and move, and outscore him and win a decision. That's how I see this going. I think that this is just too much too soon, man. I think Kavanagh's really good. I'm high on him. I'm a fan. I like watching him fight. But going from Felipe dos Santos to where you're having, it was a super fun fight, don't get me wrong, but these back and forths with him to a guy that has really, really tricky footwork and has good movement and builds as the fight goes, I just feel like that's a little bit of a tough matchup at this point in time for Loner Kavanagh. I like Charles Johnson, man. I think he's super underrated. I think he's tricky on the feet, and once he starts to find your timing, he becomes a problem. That's what he did against Joshua Van, and then he does not let up for the whole 15 minutes. So Kavanagh can't slow down. Kavanagh comes into this, doesn't slow down, mixes things up, lands some good shots, gets the respect of Johnson early. Maybe he can get this one done. But Johnson, not the easiest guy to put away. Good footwork, hard guy to get a hold of. Doesn't just stand in front of you and let you land those big shots. I think Charles Johnson gets this one done, man. I think that he goes out there, utilizes good movement, picks and pokes from the outside. I think Charles Johnson outscores Loner Kavanagh and wins a decision, man. I think this will be the first loss of Kavanagh's career. It's a big step up here. I like Charles Johnson. Think he's very underrated. Next, we have Maheshate versus Gage Young. I'm going to go Gage Young here. I think that he wins this fight by a decision. Listen, Maheshate, it's kind of been hot and cold, right? And it's crazy that this guy at one point in time knocked out Steve Garcia, right? We're seeing how good Steve Garcia is, what he just did to Calvin Kattar. And look, Maheshate, there's no mystery in what he wants to do. He's 6 foot, wants to sit on the outside, play, the kickboxing game from range. And if you come, rushing into range, this guy has the ability to knock you out. He's got sniper-like striking. He's very, very dynamic. He's fast. He's nimble. But if you can crush the space, if you can get in his face, turn it into a dogfight, mix in the grappling, threaten him with level changes, and box on the inside, I feel like that's where Maheshate will struggle in this fight. And I feel like Gage Young has the ability to go in there and do that, right? And I know that he's coming off of a loss to, I think it was Evan Elder, right? And then on the Contender Series, against Quillen Salkilde, he lost. But look how good Salkilde is, right? And we saw Gage Young competitive in that. Right, so I feel like Gage Young, he's got the more well-rounded skill set. I feel like as long as he comes in with a good game plan and fights smart, I think he moves forward, gets into the pocket, doesn't allow Maheshate to get comfortable at range and just kind of, pick and poke from the outside and set him up, because it's when you overextend coming into range like Garcia did that Maheshate will just slide off and boom and catch you with a shot and put you out. But as long as you don't stand and trade with him, tit for tat on the outside, I think Gage Young wins this fight. I think he mixes in the grappling, takes him down, wears on him a little bit, and then as the fight plays out, we see Maheshate slow down. We see Gage Young start to land those good shots in close. Maybe Gage Young gets a stoppage, but I'm going to say decision in this fight. I think Gage Young's well-roundedness, I think he's going to come into this, look to wrestle, take him down, get to the inside, work some of the, the clinch game and get that good, inside boxing going. Give me Gage Young to get this one done over Maheshate, because I just think Maheshate's good and he's skilled, but he's kind of one-dimensional, right? He likes to sit at the edge of range, kind of just kickbox with guys. I don't think that Gage is just going to do that in this fight. I think if he comes in with a smart game plan, I think that he gets the better of Maheshate in this fight. But if he chases and overextends, I think that Maheshate can definitely catch him with a shot or land some of those big shots to get this one done. But I think Gage is a smart fighter, goes in there and gets a big win here over Maheshate. Moving on to the main card, we have, I'm going to struggle to pronounce the name, so I'm just going to call him TN, man. TN versus Kiefer Crosbie. Listen, Kiefer Crosbie is one of those guys I've been watching for a while, right? He was a teammate of Conor McGregor's, training over at SBG Ireland, right? Fought in Bellator for a while, was boxing against guys like Aaron Chalmers, right? And Kiefer Crosbie's he's kind of just a brawler, right? He's got some technique to him, decent boxing, decent kicks, decently well-rounded game, but that's just kind of what he is, decent. He's not particularly great at anything, and I think TN's going to come into this fight and get a finish here. Look, TN, he's got some good boxing combinations. He's fast on the feet. He's got some power. Kiefer likes himself a brawl. And a guy that's got good straight punches that can really set his shots up well, like Nueraji here. I think I'm butchering that. But TN, man, we'll stick with TN. I think he goes out there and finishes Kiefer Crosbie. Crosbie stepping in here, man, like he's just not UFC caliber. That's the reality. He's not. He was going out there having barn burners with guys over in Bellator. And I don't think TN's all that great, but he's dangerous. He's got crazy power, good footwork. He's aggressive, comes out like a bat out of hell. I just feel like he's going to overwhelm Kiefer Crosbie early and get him out of there in round number 2. Maybe he gets him out of there in the first round. But again, Crosby's shown that he's pretty durable. So we've seen Crosbie struggle. If you take him down, you can submit him like we saw Patterson do to him. I don't know that TN has that kind of ability. But I feel like Crosby's getting finished in this fight. I think TN goes in there with a point to prove, backs him up early, starts landing some big shots. Maybe Crosbie survives, but eventually that knockout shot is going to come. I think Crosbie gets knocked out in the second round of this fight. I just don't think Kiefer Crosbie is UFC caliber whatsoever. Next, we got Sumudaerji versus Kevin Borjas. I'm going to go Kevin Borjas by decision here. Listen, I know a lot of people, they like Sumudaerji, and I picked him to win his last fight, man, and went out there against Mitch Raposo. And look, Mitch Raposo, I never thought was really UFC caliber, right? It felt like the Mitch Raposo experiment, we had seen enough of it, right? And after the Sumudaerji loss, we've definitely seen enough of it, right? But here's the deal with Sumudaerji. Good southpaw striker, fast straight left hand down the middle, good kicks from range, and the one big thing about him, he's really improved his takedown defense. That's kind of what we saw him struggling with throughout his career, to where it seemed like in the Raposo fight especially, we saw him kind of sharpen those things up. And in this fight, I don't know that Kevin Borjas is going to come in here and really look to take him down. This is Sumudaerji who's got the speed from range. He's got he's a longer guy, good straight left hand, good kickboxing. But I think Kevin Borjas is the better boxer, right? He's got good leg kicks. He's aggressive. He'll get in your face. And I feel like his boxing is going to be the difference in this fight, man. He lets his combinations fly, rips to the body, brings him upstairs. He's got some good power to put you away. I don't think that Borjas is going to come in here and grapple. And if he does, that would just give Sumudaerji something extra to think about. But maybe Borjas would wear himself out doing that. I think Borjas moves forward, pushes the pace, doesn't just sit at range, allowing Sumudaerji to kind of tee off with that left hand in his kicks. I think Borjas' boxing gets it done in this fight. He's a dog, man. I like Borjas a lot. I think that I'm high on this guy. He's aggressive, moves forward. He's got some power in his hands. The only thing that concerns me is he sticks his chin in the air. I don't like that. I don't like that against a sniper guy like Sumudaerji who's going to try to land that good straight left hand down the middle. So we got that southpaw versus orthodox matchup. I feel like Borjas is going to rip to the body, mix in some of the kicks, outland Sumudaerji, maybe even hurts him as Sumudaerji kind of overextends on a shot. Give me Kevin Borjas to get this one done. I like his boxing to get this one done for him, as Sumudaerji is very predictable on the feet. I think once Borjas gets the timing, he's going to be able to get this one done. I think he outscores Sumudaerji and wins a decision. I like Kevin Borjas, man. Okay, next, let's get into the big fights, man. We got Sergei Pavlovich versus Waldo Cortes Acosta. I'm going to go Sergei Pavlovich by second round knockout. Listen, I know a lot of people, they're high on Waldo Cortes Acosta. A lot of people, I think, are picking him to win this fight. And I think people are forgetting about who Sergei is, man. Like, I know that Sergei went out there and it's like, okay, so he lost to Alexander Volkov, the new version of Volkov, the well-rounded Volkov, the super tall skyscraper with crazy shots from the outside, annoying front kicks up the middle, kicks from range, and those guys were training partners. Like, Volkov kind of had a leg up there in terms of how to approach Sergei Pavlovich. And, okay, so he got knocked out by Tom Aspinall, one of the most generational fighters we've ever seen at heavyweight. Big whoop. So he's lost to two of the best heavyweights in the division. Goes out there, gets back on track in what was kind of a boring performance against Jairzinho Rozenstruik compared to what we're used to seeing from Sergei Pavlovich. But that was one of those things where it's like, okay, we just need Sergei to get a win. That's what it came down to. And we saw Sergei fight a smart game plan. Went out there, boxed a little bit, took Jairzinho Rozenstruik down, mixed things up really, really well. And I feel like that's what he's going to try to do in this fight. However, we've seen Waldo just get better and better, man. This guy's got a boxing background. He was a baseball player, throws that, super predictable overhand, slingshot windmill right hand that is, super telegraphed. I just feel like Sergei's got the tighter boxing, man. Sergei, he's got good, powerful combinations, dude. Like, don't forget about who this guy is. And I know people are talking about Sergei lost his aura. He lost his aura. I think we see him get his aura back in this fight. He went out there, beat Jairzinho Rozenstruik. His aura is still not back. He doesn't have that super scary factor like he once did, but I think that this is the perfect opportunity to remind people. Waldo Cortes Acosta, I haven't forgiven him from what he was doing to Andrei Arlovsky. Out there, like, emoting on him and this and that against an old legend like Andrei Arlovsky. I mean, crazy disrespect. Crazy disrespect. But Waldo's been good, man. He's been racking him up. He's adding some nice leg kicks into his game. He's fast on the feet. His hands are powerful. And he has really, really shown that his takedown defense has gotten much better. He's a hard guy to take down. He's got like that brick wall takedown defense. So I don't know that as good of a grappler as Sergei is when he decides to use it, I don't know if he's really able to get Cortes Acosta down. I don't know if he is. And if he is, I don't really know if he's going to keep him down. Right? And when Sergei gets you down, he doesn't really do a whole lot with it. So I think that this fight predominantly plays out on the feet. I don't love how Sergei just kind of like eats leg kicks. He doesn't really address them whatsoever. I don't like that at all. Because Acosta's got good power in him. We saw him landing some good shots against Sergei Spivak on the feet, right? Especially those leg kicks, they were becoming a problem. So I feel like Acosta's going to come out, look to bang leg kicks from range, stick and move, try to frustrate Pavlovich with good footwork. Because if you stand in front of Sergei, he's just going to knock you out. But I feel like it's going to be a matter of time, man. I feel like Sergei is the much better boxer here. I know that Cortes Acosta's got the boxing background. He's fast. Maybe he's a little bit more athletic. Don't forget about Sergei, man. This guy's super dangerous. And I feel like once he starts to get in the face of Acosta and lands that one shot, I feel like we're going to see Waldo go, oh, man. You know what I mean? Like, Sergei's a big step up for him here. He is. Don't forget about Sergei, man. And I feel like if he can feint the level changes and bring up those powerful uppercuts that we've seen him land, like, I think he's going to knock out Cortes Acosta in the second round. I like Sergei in this fight, man. I think he gets his aura back here. It was all about just getting back in the win column. He got knocked out by Aspinall in the interim heavyweight title fight. Came back against Volkov, which is a super tricky matchup for anybody. And then now he goes out there, does what he has to do to beat Jairzinho to get back in the win column. Now he's got a willing dance partner in front of him who's going to want to strike. So the only thing I don't like is how Pavlovich doesn't check leg kicks. I feel like that could be a problem because Acosta's got power in him. If you start to attack the leg of Sergei early and you can kind of dance and move, that'll hinder his movement to where I can see Waldo starting to, kind of open up and take advantage as the fight plays out. But I think early, I feel like Waldo's going to be very hesitant. He's going to try to counter him. I think that he's the faster fighter, but this is a big step up here, man. This is a dangerous heavy hitter in Sergei Pavlovich to where when he lets his hands go, he's got some of the most power that we've ever seen in the heavyweight division. I think Sergei gets a second-round knockout in this fight. I feel like Waldo's going to be kind of getting confident, maybe sticking and moving, having some success, and then it's going to be a matter of time until Sergei lands that big shot. Give me Sergei to get a second-round knockout in this fight. As good as Waldo has looked, man, this is a big step up here, and I think that Sergei Pavlovich, he's durable, he's tough, he has grappling in his back pocket, and I feel like his boxing is better than Waldo Cortes, and he's definitely the harder hitter. I feel like Sergei eventually will find that shot and get him out of there. Co-main event, we have Brian Ortega versus Aljamain Sterling. This is definitely the most intriguing fight on the card to me. I'm super curious to see how this fight plays out because we have the jiu-jitsu of Brian Ortega, and then we have the overall grappling skill set of Aljamain Sterling. I think Aljamain Sterling wins this fight by decision, though. I feel like Aljamain Sterling, listen, down in the bantamweight division, he's one of the best bantamweights you've ever seen, right? He's got really good wrestling. He's got that lanky kind of build to him, awkward striking on the feet. But the thing about Aljo, he's not just a wrestler, right? He's got a really good camp around him, right? Training with Matt Serra and those guys. I mean, he's got really good jiu-jitsu skills as well. So going in there against Brian Ortega, as good as Brian is with his jiu-jitsu, I mean, it's nothing that Aljo hasn't seen. Right now, Aljo's coming off of a crazy fight with Movsar Evloev, which was a crazy fun grappler's delight fight, right? Crazy scrambles, great grappling exchanges. And if you're doing that with a guy like Movsar Evloev, I mean, that's as high level as it gets. And I know that Movsar doesn't have the submission threat of a guy like Brian Ortega. Brian's taken a lot of damage throughout his career, man. He has. And I know that Aljo doesn't have the striking to necessarily trouble Brian Ortega. But I feel like Aljo, in a way, is, he's not the cleaner striker, but he's got this funky style to where I feel like he's just going to be banging those front kicks from range, landing leg kicks from the outside, switching stances, kind of picking and poking at Ortega to where I feel like he's going to outland him. Right? Brian Ortega's maybe got the cleaner, more aesthetically pleasing striking, solid boxing, but I don't think he outstrikes Aljo, man. And Brian Ortega doesn't have crazy power. I know, what he did to Edgar back in the day, but that's not, really a good gauge on who Brian Ortega is as a striker. We saw him getting banged around by Diego Lopez. I know Diego's super dangerous. Ortega's incredibly durable, man. He's an absolute dog. Great submission skills to where I feel like if Aljo does take him down, he's got to be careful, obviously, because Ortega, T-City, Triangle City, man. He's got great triangles, really good off of his back, good at, sweeping, getting off bottom, advancing position, creating scrambles. He's got excellent submission skills. But I just feel like Aljamain Sterling's wrestling combined with his jiu-jitsu skills as well, I just feel like he's going to be able to avoid those submissions of Brian Ortega. And if Ortega doesn't get a submission, I feel like the volume and the versatility that Aljo brings on the feet, I feel like he's just going to outscore Brian. And I feel like on the ground, like the way that we've seen Aljo look at featherweight, he's a nightmare. He is for a lot of guys, man, because he carries the same skill from bantamweight. He's still got kind of the speed, the awkwardness, right? The technicalities combined with this crazy, he's filled out into the featherweight division to where, look how strong he is. Picking Calvin Kattar up, throwing him around. And I know in hindsight, like, whoa, it's not that impressive beating Calvin Kattar, but it still was. The way he just ragdolled him around and you're going, having these crazy back and forths with a guy like Movsar Evloev. That was a super close fight. And Movsar Evloev, we know how good he is. So I feel like Aljamain Sterling's grappling is going to edge Brian Ortega in this. Outside of a Brian Ortega submission, I just feel like Aljamain can go out there, outscore him, land some good ground and pound, outstrike him from range. And I wouldn't even be shocked if Aljamain Sterling got him out of there with some kind of a submission. And I know that sounds crazy because Ortega, we know how good he is defensively all around when it comes to the submission game as well. But Aljamain Sterling's the better overall MMA grappler. I know Brian Ortega's wrestling's gotten better. We saw him take down Yair Rodriguez, was able to submit him and get him out of there. This ain't Yair. I know Aljo's not the best striker, but it's serviceable and it's awkward, right? And he's got the wrestling to be able to take Ortega down. And I feel like he's got the awareness and the skill to avoid the submission attempts of Ortega. I think Aljamain Sterling wins a decision in this fight. I feel like Ortega's only chance is to really find a submission here. I think Aljo could maybe finish him possibly, with some sort of submission. Again, not super likely. We know he's got a really good rear naked choke, but I feel like it's going to be the control, the scrambles that Aljo's going to create, and the awkwardness and the timing that he brings that's just a little bit different than anything Ortega has seen. I think that Aljamain Sterling is going to take Brian Ortega down, control him, win minutes, and just land some good shots from the outside, keep it awkward, keep it funky, and outscore Brian Ortega over the course of 5 rounds and get a big win here for Aljamain Sterling. I just don't think Brian Ortega is able to get this one done, man. As good as he is, I know he's got great submissions. Aljo, he's not some scrub on the ground here. I think that he beats Ortega. Last but not least, we got the main event, Johnny Walker versus Zhang Mingyang. I'm going Zhang Mingyang by violent first-round knockout. Listen, Johnny Walker at one point, it felt like Johnny Walker was one of the next big things in the division, right? He kind of had some swag to him, was doing the worm in there, right? He kind of had this whole vibe to where it felt like we were looking at the next big thing in the light heavyweight division, to that quickly fading away, to him kind of becoming a meme. Every time Johnny Walker gets knocked out, dude, it looks like he's acting, right? I mean, his KO losses, they are brutal. I mean, this guy is getting starched brutally. He's getting knocked out by Jamal Hill, delayed. His hands are going in the air. It looks like that thing outside the car dealership. I mean, it's bad. When Johnny Walker, he's got no chin. A gust of wind goes by. Johnny Walker gets KO'd. He's got no durability whatsoever. And especially after all these KOs getting KO'd like he did against Volkan Oezdemir and then against Magomed Ankalaev, his chin's gone. His chin's gone, and I know he's been in there against good fighters, but Zhang Mingyang is a Terminator, dude. He's dangerous, right? And it's kind of crazy because it kind of reminds me a little bit of Ely in a way, to where Zhang Mingyang, he was kind of known for his ground game early in his career, right? And then he kind of made this shift as he's kind of went along to becoming a guy that really doesn't utilize his ground game and just wants to get it done on the feet. He's got crazy power, good speed, dangerous hooks, man. Lunges into range with these super powerful shots. Good kicks, closes the distance really well. The only thing that I don't like about Zhang is I don't think his defense is good. He's super hittable. So Johnny Walker's got some nasty elbows. He's unpredictable. Flying knees. He does have power, right? Johnny Walker's awkward in there. He is. So maybe he kind of times a shot, catches Zhang on the way in because Zhang's defense isn't really good. And a lot of that is Zhang just is willing to eat a shot to give one because he believes that he could eat yours and then you're not going to eat his. And I feel like that's the case in this fight. Maybe Johnny lands a good shot, but outside of him landing something unpredictable and awkward that just catches Zhang, he's getting knocked out. And I think it's going to be a first-round KO. The UFC knows what they're doing by putting this together. This is a big opportunity for Zhang to go out there, against basically a cherry-picked opponent here. Big spotlight for Mingyang. He's dangerous. He's like the Terminator in this weight class. At some point, he's going to pay for his bad defense. He is. But he's well-rounded, right? So I could see him going in there, taking Johnny Walker down, maybe beating him up on the ground even, right? I don't think that it gets there. I just think he moves forward, has no respect for Johnny Walker, lands those big hooks, drops Johnny Walker, follows up with a shot on the ground and knocks him out cold. That's just kind of how it's been going for Johnny Walker. And I know Johnny's been in there with some of the best guys in the weight class for sure. And this is a step up to a degree for Zhang, right? Kind of the best guy that, Zhang has fought is basically an old washed up Anthony Smith, where he destroyed him though. Right? He's kind of just been running through everybody. Nobody's had the answer for this guy, right? And early in his career, right, he was struggling. He was getting knocked out, getting finished, and we kind of really saw him, become a lot more professional and kind of dial, things in. And he's been unstoppable so far in the UFC. Crazy ability to get guys out of there in the first round. Most of his wins are by KO in the first round. I think this fight's no different. Moves forward, not going to have any respect for Johnny Walker. Outside of Johnny Walker landing some sort of, elbow, spinning elbow, flying knee, Zhang Mingyang stalks him down, lands a nasty shot up against the fence, drops him, lands a good shot on the ground, puts him out cold. Zhang Mingyang gets the biggest win of his career and brutally KOs Johnny Walker this weekend. But if you guys enjoyed this video, please give it a like. Let me know what you think down in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you do not miss an upload. I would appreciate it. See you next time.